Today we're going to build a simple piece of kit that you can use to keep your hot foods hot when preparing food out on the trail. Coming up.
A bad day.
Yeah! My name's Drew and this is Evergreen Overland. On this channel we do reviews on camping and overland gear, we showcase 4x4 vehicle modifications, and we hone our outdoor cooking skills and techniques like the ones we're going to talk about in the video today. If you're anything like me, you love cooking food out on the trail and you take a lot of pride in the meals that you prepare for the people you're out exploring with so that they walk away with a flavorful and memorable experience of what you just made them. Food is definitely something that brings us all together. Everybody's got to eat. Obviously, when you're walking away from a really good meal, you're thinking about the different flavors and the textures and just the appearance and the presentation of the food you just enjoyed. All those things play a really pivotal role, but one of the things that can put a really big damper on any meal is if it's not served at a hot enough temperature for it to be properly enjoyed. When you're cooking outside, like pretty much all of us do in the camping community, it can be difficult to keep your food hot for a long amount of time once it's been taken off of the fire or away from the grill. One of the challenges any chef has is to make sure that they're timing things so that they come out at the same time so they can be plated and served as soon as possible. But one struggle that I always find myself in is I only have 2 burners on my partner's steel stove. If you want to see a link to a video on that, you can check it out above me right now, which means I can only really cook and keep 2 things hot at a time. When I cook something that's going to be a little bit more intricate where I need to hold something hot after it's been cooked while I finish up another component of the meal, I've implemented and starting building out a nice Koozie system for many of the components in my cook kit. Just like a Koozie that's going to keep your drinks cold, a Reflectix insulated Koozie that you make for yourself will keep your food hotter for longer while you finish up the rest of the meal. Let's go ahead and dive in on how to make these. Now what you're going to need to make one of these is going to be a roll of Reflectix. They come in a whole bunch of different sizes, a good pair of shears or scissors, something to mark with. I like using a little ruler, and then a adhesive aluminum tape basically. Reflectix makes this stuff. You can find both of these things at almost any hardware store, but if you want to follow the Amazon link in the description section, I get a little bit of an affiliate bump helping me buy some of these things so I can keep making videos. What Reflectix is it's a basically like a bubble wrap insulated on either sides with like a foil tape for the most part. It's got little air pockets in there, and that's what helps insulate and keep whatever you're trying to keep hot and ready for service. The air trapped in between spaces basically just acts as a barrier so that your heat dissipates more slowly. Today we're going to be making a Koozie for my tall-sided pot here. I use this pot for all sorts of different stuff. All right, so one of the things that I usually start off with is doing a really solid base. And what I typically want to do is do it so that the base is as flat as possible and the sides wrap around the top edge of this. The reason I do the base first is because you want it as stable as possible when it's sitting on your tailgate or whatever you're setting it down on, so it's not going to want to tip over on you. You want this thing to fit in there pretty tight, but not too tight to get it out. So since I want the walls resting on the top of this base, I'm going to take my pen and trace out. Basically, that's going to bump it out, you know, 1/4 of an inch away from the bottom of this. And that'll be good because that'll give me 1/4 of an inch to wrap around the walls and attach that to the bottom. Level it and go all the way around. Pretty self-explanatory there, right? Cut out the square. There you go. Nice little base. Extends out a decent amount around the edge of it. Nice little coincidence, this ended up being the same height basically, a little bit long. You can definitely get the circumference of this by running a rope around it or something, taking the measurement and then just measuring it out straight with this. I am not gonna worry about that too much. I'm just gonna roll this until I hit. You want it tight, but you don't want it too tight. And what's nice about this, you can pretty much follow the bubbles or the lines of this. You don't really have to measure it out and be super, super precise. All right, this is actually going to be a little tight. So we'll see if I eat my own words there, but we're going to roll with it. This is just going to be extra insulated, I guess. So I want the base of this to be sitting pretty good at the bottom there. And I'm going to pinch it so that this is pretty straightforward there. And I am going to take a mark all the way around on the inside here. So there we go. I'm going to actually come down and cut to this side of the line so that, you know, I go right below this lip a little bit. That'll help keep food from falling down in between this and just getting filthier than it needs to be. Yeah, that's pretty dang good right there. All right, so to make this as easy to clean as possible, I like to seal up as many of the cracks or edges as I possibly can. I like to keep my factory edge as the base because that's the one that's gonna sit as flat as possible. You don't want to stick this to itself. All right, gently get that set on one side, flip it around. You can fold it up first at a 90 degree, and then usually I start from the inside and slowly pin it out in a couple of places down the edges and then smooth it all out. I'm trying not to compress the air bubbles, so I'm trying to leave it so it's got, you know, all the edges of this as much as possible like that. All right, what I like to do with the reflective tape is just cut a couple little strips that you can use as anchor points for this thing. You can come back and cut more later. Get this pinched together. I'm gonna throw one of these somewhat close to the top, the other one close to the bottom. You wanna think about the direction you're doing these things. So I'm gonna go ahead and seal up this inside crack here. Now what I can do to make it look clean is do the same thing, sealing up this edge on the outside and doing it so that the corners wrap and end up on the inside, so it just is a little bit cleaner of a finished look. Smooth it all out and tuck the edges. Awesome. So now you got to start sealing up the base. And what I like to do here, what I find to get the best possible appearance here is just to take your time. Do about 1 inch to 1.5 inch little strips. And this just gets it so it doesn't bunch up really goofy. Usually get my first one started right there. Get this all lined up and just start folding it up and over. Now I go to the opposite side, tack this one down and in place, and now just slowly work my way around. And I just overlap them, I don't know, about 1/4 inch. Now what I actually do is I do the same thing on the inside edge here, all the way around. Basically why I do that is to make it easier to clean and wipe down so you're not getting these cracks and crevices filled with food that molds over time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the inside as well. All right, I got my outside base kind of sealed up. I got my inside all sealed up. Ooh, pretty. And yeah, I'm pretty much, now, like a glove, pretty important on the top. That's where most of your heat is going to escape because heat rises. So you really want to have a good overlap for your top lid section here. So I'm going to give myself a nice, I think about 1.5 inches on either side of this, just so that I can really fold it over and get nice coverage. I am going to use this little, what the hell are these things called? It's not a protractor. I don't remember what it's called, but you know, little tool, found my center. Mark the edges here. You could probably eyeball that and be just fine. Mark the edges. So you want to center this on there pretty decently, and what I'm going to do, rather than going like this, I want this to be pretty close to the edge there, so I'm not going to tuck it in too deep, but I'm just going to go trace my circle. Well, that looked like a drunk kindergartner did that. And I'm gonna go and cut just relief slits around this thing, probably every 1.5 inches. Straight in from the side, right up to your line. All right, well, I got my relief cuts split. Basically what I'm gonna do now is kind of fold these in so, you know, they're coming 90 degrees up. And I'm gonna slowly go ahead and just rip little chunks of this foil just to make this as close to what I want it to be as possible. Folding these up at the seam and tacking them in place where I want it. Doesn't need to have a whole bunch at this state because you're gonna seal this together a little bit better. Just shingle one behind the other a little bit as you go. If you need to clean up these edges at all, you can do that now. Just kind of straightening this whole setup out. So now that I got that pretty much tacked into place, I am going to go ahead, run a strip of this around the inside edge. And now I'm just going to cut little relief slits and fold it over the lip. All right, so now you've got pretty much little slits all the way around this because you tapered that in. So I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing. A little tedious, I know. 1-inch strips, and taking your time, paying attention to detail will make this look a lot cleaner and also clean up a lot easier when you inevitably get some food on it. Same thing, I'm gonna start just over the crease. So I close off the little cuts and work it all the way around the lip edge. All right, so there is my lid, nicely sealed and layered all the way around. Pretty decent straight edges. This stuff is a little bit malleable. I mean, it's foil, so it kind of holds its shape a little bit. So you can kind of get that around. It's a nice tight fit. Now, just because I'm OCD, I'm gonna run a band around the complete bottom of this, because I can, just to make it clean and shiny. Sweet deal. Oh, that's tight. All right, I'm gonna get my area cleaned up here. We're gonna do a little test on this afterwards to see how long it's gonna keep boiling water hot in this without, and then after with the custom koozie. Coming up next. Got my thermometer, 61 degrees. Water went in. It says it's about 200 degrees. So it's about, 50 degrees in the garage. We're gonna come back in 30 minutes and see how much temperature we have lost. That's 30 minutes. We're at 138 degrees. So that would be our starting off temperature was 201, 61 degrees drop. I'm gonna empty this water back into my little kettle here. Let this come back down to 60 degrees temperature of the garage, and then give it another go this time in our bad boy here. I temped that, we're about 60. Same volume of boiling water should bring us to about the same temperature. 203, that's pretty dang close. Throw this lid on, check it again in 30 minutes. 30 minutes, we're at 176 degrees. We started out at about 203, so that is a loss of 27, I wanna say, 27 degrees. And before, without any of the insulation and everything, that was a loss of, 63. So basically this kept in 36 additional degrees of temperature loss. That's pretty impressive, pretty substantial. I like to keep most of my food, at least at like 145 when you're serving it. So that, honestly, I mean, that's a pretty big difference. 36 degrees, that could definitely make the difference from serving somebody something that's cold to serving it nice and piping hot at a temperature where everybody's gonna enjoy it even more. I'm super excited to add this Koozie into my cook kit. This will give me an awesome thermal battery just to keep my food hot so it's nice and ready to be enjoyed from everybody who's trying it. I definitely appreciate you guys watching this video. If you liked this video, please hit the like button to let me know I've done a good job. If you want to see more videos, I put out a video each week. You can hit the subscribe button and mash the bell icon to be notified when those videos come out. Definitely, if you have any questions or comments, throw them down in the comment section below. I love interacting with you guys and starting to build out this community through my channel. You can take a look at the description section for, like I said, the infrared gun or links to any of this stuff over on Amazon. As I said before, buying it through my link will definitely help me out. If you want to follow me on other places, you can check me out over on Instagram at EvergreenOverland, or as well as evergreenoverland.com. I really need to I want to build that site out. I haven't been paying much attention to it, but you can definitely go check it out, and hey, give me any recommendations, what you'd like to see on a website from my channel. Above and beyond that, thanks for watching. I hope you guys spend some time and make some of these Koozies for your stuff. Have a good day.